Seasoned with Grace Unboxed presents Tune Up Tuesdays. This live weekly event is here to provide you and your family with tools for stronger family relationships. And now, here are your hosts, Doctors Robert and Denise Davis.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tune Up Tuesdays presented by Seasoned with Grace Unboxed. Please check out our website at www.swg-unboxed.org. There you can find videos, blogs, as well as our podcast, as well as tools and resources to improve your biological family as well as your workplace family. These past few days have been trying for several reasons. As you know, we're still working through the COVID-19. We're still processing the killing of another black man. And so on today's show, we're going to continue our discussion on how to remain clear, calm, and connected during these tense and anxious times. Hopefully next week we can get back to our subject on healthy family communication. But today, I think we need to discuss what's happening in America from an emotional health perspective. Unfortunately, Denise is not going to be able to join us today, so you're going to just have to put up with me. And I know you're already sad, if not already tuning it out. But I think that I will be able to present a pretty good show today, and we look forward to having Denise back next time. I'm so proud of my children, and I'm going to tell you why, especially my 13-year-old daughter, Elise, who spoke to thousands of people at the rally this past Saturday. She told the crowd that her first march was when she was 16 years old. Six. My 13-year-old daughter marched when she was 16. When she was 6 years old, after the death of Trayvon Martin, I remember we were living in Baton Rouge at the time, and our church organized a march that ended up becoming a pretty big thing through the community. And she said that she thought that'd be the last time she'd have to march, that there was going to be this great change, and she was just disheartened that we're back to the same place again. But she also spoke about how encouraged she was to see so many people of all races, ethnicities, nationalities, and backgrounds coming together to say that enough is enough. And I think that hers and there's so many other young people, it's been teenagers and young adults who have just been leading these marches and these protests all over the country. And I think that we are witnessing a new generation of leaders who are, tired of business as usual. And I am quite optimistic that we will see some changes in America relating to race relations and relating to policing. And as I'm speaking with people, the word that I keep hearing over and over again is just how angry people are. So I'm optimistic, I'm encouraged, but I'm hearing a lot of people who continue to use the word anger. Even my daughter, when she gave her speech, she talked about how angry she was. Let me just say, anger is not bad. And that's the reason why I'm not discouraged because people are angry, because anger is not bad. Actually, and this is something that you don't hear too often, actually no emotion is bad. There are no bad emotions. Emotions are simply indicators of how our minds are processing reality. What we have been teaching on Tune Up Tuesdays is learning to control our emotional reactivity. So I feel angry. That's not the problem. The question is, how do I react? Not that I feel angry, but how do I react when I feel this anger? And even deeper than that, not only how do I react, but are my reactions instinctual or intellectual? In other words, when I feel angry, when I feel sad, when I feel whatever way it may be, do I just respond without thinking? So do my emotions control me, or am I able to control my emotions? And again, not the emotion themselves, fear or anger or frustration or whatever. Not am I able to control having the feeling, but am I able to control my response and my reaction to the feeling? When we get to the place where we are unable to control our response and reaction to the feeling, there rises the problem. So the question I have to ask is not whether anger or fear or frustration or sadness or depression or whatever it may be, not are these bad or good feelings. The question is, Are my reactions to these feelings instinctual, thoughtless, mindless, or are they intellectual where I'm calm and I'm thinking through it? I want to encourage everyone to use your anger to bring about change. Some of the greatest reforms, some of the greatest change was started because of anger. Matter of fact, this entire nation was built because a group of individuals were angry with how the politics were going in England. So anger is an appropriate feeling. The question is, how do we express it? I want to encourage you to channel that anger. I want you to channel that anger and to use this anger to bring about change. However, if I react to my anger, or if we react to our anger without thinking, then we're going to get what we got from the Trayvon Martin marches or the Rodney King marches. And I marched in the Rodney King marches 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago. I was in the Rodney King marches. And I remember the chant that we had was "No justice, no peace." What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. And I've been to several of the marches here, and it's the exact same mantra. No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. There are political and commercial interests that want to exploit our anger, which is one of the reasons why we haven't seen change in so long. The more reactive and less thoughtful you are, the easier it is to be exploited. So there are individuals who are calmly thinking through this situation and saying, all right, how can we capitalize on the anger? I know what we can do. We can promise the people that if they vote for us, then everything will be changed, and they can channel all their anger into getting out and making a blue wave and sweeping Trump out of the White House. You know what? We've been having police murders when we had Democrats in the White House. We've had police murders when we had Republicans in the White House. We've had systemic racism when we've had Democrats in the White House and Republicans in the White House. And so don't let people use this as an opportunity to politically manipulate you to support their party on either side. On either side, both sides will attempt to do it, to exploit the anger, to drive you to support their political agendas. The other folk that like to exploit folk during this time, of course, are individuals with commercial interests. Yes, Nike stands with you. This company stands with you. And I didn't mean to call the company's name, but this company stands with you. And so if you really are sick and tired and you want change, then come buy our product, come wear our shoes, come buy our clothes, put on our makeup, read our journal, whatever it may be, because we're angry just like you. And these are all exploitations that individuals will try to use to bring about to try to capitalize on your anger, but it doesn't produce change. I'm going to let you know right now, we can vote the entire House, the entire Senate, and the president to be Democrat. Or we can vote the entire House, the entire Senate, and the president to be Republican, and we're not going to see any change as people are talking about out there in the streets. True change comes about through thoughtful, intentional actions. I'm going to say that again. True change comes about through thoughtful, intentional actions. One of the reasons why Martin Luther King was such an effective leader is because he is one of the greatest thinkers that the world has ever seen in any generation. This gentleman had well thought out plans and strategies, and even though people were antagonizing him and provoking him, he refused to get caught up and sucked up into what they were doing and remained very focused on what he was supposed to do. And so I want to encourage you rather to use this energy from your anger to really imagine what needs to be dismantled, reshaped, reformed, and discarded. Your homework this week, very simple. Your homework this week is to journal what you want to see happen as a result of these marches and protests. I want you to begin thinking. It's not enough to get angry and go on social media and to attack this person, to attack the Democrats or to attack the Republicans, to attack the police or to attack the police support, the people who are protesting the police. That's not going to help anything. What I want you to do is I want you to journal what you want to see happen as a result of these marches or protests. Whether you agree with them or not, what do you want to see happen? When the last speech is given and the last march takes place, what do you want to see happen? The second thing I want you to journal is, what role can you play in making these things happen? What role can you play in making these things happen? We are pushing here in Denver for our city to do what other cities are doing. We are asking for our elected officials to bring about real change, not just to police use of force, but to policing in general. Here are some questions I'm pushing leaders in our city to ask. And I just want you to see that I'm also thinking through what I like to see happen after these protests. So here's some questions that I'm working with leaders in our city to think through. How do we reimagine the concept of policing in the 21st century? How do we rethink law enforcement from the ground up, from the bottom up, starting with a blank sheet of paper? What is the role and the function of the police department? How do we transition the police away from so many non-police related responsibilities? How do we empower communities to be more engaged or more responsible for policing their communities versus this centralized policing model we've been using for over 150 years? And how do we strategically fund the police and these new community priorities? These are things that we're thinking through. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to begin to think. And what I imagine, the way I frame it before I close, the way that I frame it within my mind is, if we were to take 1 million people from planet Earth, randomly choose 1 million people and move far, far away into another galaxy and start a whole new world, and we had to start with a blank sheet of paper, how would we set up our policing and safety? What would we do if we could start with a clean blank sheet of paper? And I want our city here to imagine that. That's my thinking process. And there's so much more that goes into it because I really don't have all the answers. But I want you to join with me in your communities, in your world, in your life, to say, how can I imagine and what is it I would like to see as we move forward? Well, that's today's show. For additional resources, videos, and materials, I want you again to visit our website. You can find it right here, www.swg-unboxed.org. Season with Grace Unboxed wants you to stay safe during these difficult times. Please protect yourself at all times. Follow local and federal directives for both COVID-19 care, as well as you continue to participate in nonviolent demonstrations. Wash your hands, disinfect your surroundings, wear the mask, use hand sanitizer, practice social distancing, do all of the proper sanitary practices. And if you feel sick, make sure you seek professional medical help. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tune Up Tuesdays, because even the smoothest running family needs a Tune Up Tuesday. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching Tune Up Tuesday. You can connect with us on Facebook or check out our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org. Again, thank you for watching, and tune in next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another insightful episode of Tune Up Tuesday. Season with Grace Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.